Sarah redialed. She had been sitting in the doctor's examination room and waiting to be examined when her phone had started blasting Karma Chameleon, an inside joke that meant a call from her ex-boyfriend Mitchell. She had hesitated, staring at the display, wondering if she wanted to take this one. She had been dreading talking to her ex ever since the whole crash and burn of The Ugly Girl and the associated film, which had completely collapsed. Mitchell was a success. Sarah was a failure. He was an agent. She was nowhere near being an actress. Hi, I'm Neil A. Yeager, and today I'm reading from my novel, Non-Hollywood. I'd like to take a second here to remind you that I've got several other books out there in the world, and I would love it if you would check them out, such as The Next Seattle, which takes place in 1997, which was a time when the indie music thing was really going strong, but the internet hadn't yet kicked in. So this is a book about some folks trying to get a music scene going in that environment, which probably makes the title make more sense, as obviously at the beginning of the 90s, the Seattle music scene really, exploded. So this book takes place in the late 90s, where these musicians are hoping to create the next Seattle. But back to Non-Hollywood. This is chapter 46, Exam. So she just sat there, listening to Boy George sing for about 30 seconds or so. In her hesitation, she had missed the call. But she quickly realized that, yes, she would like to talk with Mitchell. She wanted to talk to him, yes. Why? Because she missed him? It was as simple and stupid as that. He answered on the first ring, which meant that he was wearing his headset, which he referred to as his David Geffen headset, for maximum work efficiency. "Hey, Sarah," he said. "Hi, Mitchell. Sorry I missed your call. I'm in a doctor's office." "Doctor's office? Anything wrong?" "Yeah, I don't look like a model. That's what's wrong." Sorry?" "Nothing," she said. "There's nothing wrong." Which was a big fat lie. She had already stated the truth. The problem was that she didn't look like a model. That was the problem that had brought her to this office. The doctor that she was seeing was a plastic surgeon. Mitchell began, "Yeah, I just called because I heard what happened to your production." "How did you hear about that?" He replied, "It's a small town, Sarah. Anyway, I was sorry to hear that, and I just wanted to make sure that you didn't let it get you down. I mean, these things happen, and you gotta roll with it. Keep up the fight." Sarah was a bit puzzled about that statement. Was the same guy who had told her that she wouldn't make it now telling her to soldier on? If he was telling her that, then he was saying something that he didn't believe. And his saying that certainly smacked of condescension. It was the British who were supposed to be condescending, not the Australians. Australians were supposed to be mellow and hunky and Christopher Nolan. Suddenly, she really didn't want to speak to Mitchell. Didn't miss the pompous so-and-so at all. She said, "Yeah, thanks. Look, I'm not really sure why I called you back right now. I'm in the doctor's office. Plus, there was a sign in the lobby about no cell phones." "Oh, sure, I understand," said Mitchell. "I actually have to shove off myself. But like I said, I just wanted to say, keep your chin up, all that." "Great, thanks," she said. And after a few more inane little comments, they each hung up. And not 10 seconds after hanging up, her phone rang again. This time just the generic ring. She looked at the display, which read, "Mr. Grilled Cheese." She thought to herself, she really needed to change that to read William. Either way, she was glad to be getting a call from him, so she picked up the call. "Hey there, Grilled Cheese," she said. Hi, Sarah. Sorry to bug you. It's just that the last few times I've been in the restaurant, you haven't been working." You're not bugging me, William. And yeah, my schedule has been a little weird lately. Had to switch a few shifts, but I am on for lunch tomorrow. Great, then I'll be there. I mean, assuming that's okay. Sarah responded, well, you see, William, it's a restaurant, which is kind of a public place, and you kind of don't need my permission to go there. Okay then, I'll be there. A soft knock sounded. The examining room door swung open and the doctor entered. Sarah said into the phone, oh, sorry, I've got to go. And she hung up. Without looking at her, the doctor said, there is a sign in the waiting room asking you not to use your phone here. I know, sorry, I was just sitting here and... Sorry, Sarah mumbled. The doctor opened up a file and said, okay, Miss Sarah. Sarah. So you've obviously never had any work done. And no other form of surgery? Nope. Broke my arm once, but that's as close as I've come. The doctor looked up at her. His eyes slowly and clinically worked over her, first examining her face, then thoroughly scanning all of her. Sarah suddenly felt cold. The doctor said, well, you certainly want to change that nose and the ears, a little of the cheeks and eyes, and of course the breasts. The rest, I'd say, Sarah interrupted, of course? Excuse me? You said, of course, the breasts. I just thought, I just thought they were okay. For what? The doctor asked. For breasts? I thought they were okay for breasts. The doctor dropped his gaze and stared directly at her chest. He said dryly, they're not. But if you want to save them for later, that's okay. Personally, I'd schedule it all out now, but it's up to you. Sarah held up her hand and said, wait, can we back up a sec? I thought that we could start with me telling you what I'd like. What you'd like. I know what you'd like. From the desk, he picked up a photo of a woman with perfect features. You would like to look like this, he said. Sarah mumbled, well, not exactly. The doctor said, I've been doing this a long time, and I can tell you that we can sit here and talk for hours and hours, and when we get to the bottom of it, this is what you'll end up agreeing that you want. Sarah said, well, actually, I just wanted to look like me, only better. A better version of me. The doctor stared at her. His expression still hadn't changed a bit. You want to go through the expense and discomfort of surgery so that you can end up looking like you? A better version of me. The doctor sighed deeply and then began again. Okay, Miss Sarah. Sarah. Cosmetic surgery is not about looking like yourself. It is about looking like somebody else. Now, if that statement doesn't make sense to you, then I think that you should save your money. Sarah and the doctor sat looking at one another in silence. After a few awkward moments, Sarah's phone started again blaring Karma Chameleon. Excuse me, she said as she stood, pulled the phone out of her bag, and walked out of that office.